day number 12. It is a Thursday. I had my tent in this spot last night, thinking that this wall here was going to be enough to protect me, but the wind was not coming from the correct direction, so I ended up at 1:30 in the morning moving my tent over to this location further behind the wall. I didn't think it was going to fit with the grill there, but it does. And that quieted the tent down. Otherwise, last night it was just like flapping like crazy. A long ride today. I'm going to, I believe it's a national forest, a campground in a national forest. It's supposed to be quite nice, but it's about 300 miles away, and the winds are supposed to be pretty strong this afternoon. So I'm hoping to make as much time as I can this morning to get there before the winds kick in. Winds right now are coming out of the south-southeast. I'm heading mostly northwest, so hopefully it's behind me to the extent it does kick in. But I'm kind of breaking camp here in a hurry and trying to get on my way.
I've got 296 miles to go, 4 hours, 48 minutes. The lake for that state park is an artificial lake, a large dam there. Crossing New Mexico. Trucks prohibited westbound 82. Apparently there's a fairly steep grade. You never guess it looking out here, but they showed a lot of drop in elevation on one of the signs that I passed. It's not even 9 o'clock and the winds have started to pick up. I still have a long way to go, 258 miles. This could be a long day. Wind's coming out of the south, so it's on my left side. I am going to turn more northerly here in another 66 miles. That should relieve some of the pressure. Nice little ride. Got about 45 miles to Alamogordo. A little bit of a valley here, and it really helps with the riding in terms of blocking the wind. Lincoln National Forest. Must be gaining elevation because the temperature is going down. It's now 73 degrees. At one point it was 78. It definitely feels cooler. Air feels very dry. Almost on the chilly side, dare I say, even though it's supposed to get up to like 95 today. Although I think the campground that I'm going to is at elevation, so it may not be uncomfortable. Well, that explains the drop in temperature. I am at over 8,000 feet right now. Wow, I never would have guessed that. It looks like I'm going up a little bit more before I start going down, and then I go down pretty dramatically down to 3,500 feet. What a difference in landscape. I left behind the desert and now I'm up in the mountains with these huge trees. Cloudcroft, elevation 8676. Should be fuel here. 6% grade the next 16 miles. They got truck runaway ramps. So this town must be at the crest of the mountain. Man, it's chilly. It's 69 degrees. It's like entering a whole new world. It's weird. Just saw a sign that called these the Sacramento Mountains. We're going to lose 4,000 feet of elevation in the next 16 miles. Refilled with fuel. Clean my windscreen. Stretch my legs a bit. I wasn't expecting this today. I was expecting to be all flat desert. Beautiful. Wow. 78 degrees, and it was 68 at the top. So I gained 10 degrees in 16 miles for the cool mountain air. 68 degrees. It is now 88 degrees. Area, fee area. wonder whether my pass will work or not. Little warning about rattlesnakes. As lava cools, apparently large hollows appear, usually bubbles or long tubes within the solid rock, and these bubbles or tubes can be a perfect place for bats to roost. The Paleo Indians were here 10,000 BC, and they made spear points and axe blades from obsidian, a glass-like kind of lava. Apparently the tall plants, the long slender trunks, are not yuccas, they're sodals, spoon plants. This is a 400-year-old juniper tree. 400 years old. It started before George Washington was born. Here's a whole field of these sodal plants. Okay, that concludes the recreation area. So I walked the entire circuit. There's my bike waiting for me. Take a look at this rear tire. So the tire still has tread left, but not much here in the center. So I'm hoping I can get to California, which is another 3 or 4 days of riding, and then swap it out there, kind of at the high water mark of this trip. So I have a fresh rear tire to go back. I have 2 hours, 132 miles to go. The White Sands Missile Range is to my left. And out there in the distance is the Trinity site. The first nuclear bomb was exploded by the United States during, of course, World War II. Wind is brutal. Temperatures are pretty tough too. It's 96 degrees Fahrenheit, and the wind is coming in from my left. Those are the mountains I'm headed towards, where my camp is. Picked up groceries, tried to pick ones that wouldn't spoil. Did end up with like a Cobb salad. Hopefully it'll last an hour in the black bag that's sitting behind me, collecting heat right now. Tourist parking. It's hard to believe, but we are at an elevation almost 7,000 feet. I'm actually gaining elevation. I'll be at 7,000 in a few minutes. 7,000 feet of altitude. I'm not even on a mountain. I think 7,000 feet is as tall as the tallest mountain on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Well, I'm into the little foothills here. Datil Well Campground. 1/4 mile of gravel. There's trees back here, so hopefully it's breaking up the wind. It certainly feels less windy here already. I'm at a visitor center. I bet it looks like it's open. $5 a night. Golden Age, $2.50. I think that's where I qualify. I'll have to come up with $2.50. Alright, I'm going to go back and find a site first, and then I'll come back here and fill it out. So what do you think? Number 6. Some shade. It doesn't have the awning, but it has natural shade from the trees, and the way the sun is setting, it should be shady the rest of the day, at least hopefully. Not a bad campsite. Relatively level pitch. It's off angle a little bit. Should be okay. I'm going to sleep with my head towards the high side. About half full. $2.50. There's running water, pit toilets. They look like they're modern. Good morning. It's day 13. I am taking a walk on the Datil Well Trail. I'm here, going down to Crosby Canyon Lookout, just 0.7 miles away, and then work my way back. Just a short one for this morning. It's about 6:45 in the morning. Haven't broken camp yet. It's pretty chilly out. Beautiful morning. There's not a breath of air. Slowly gaining elevation as I climb. Crosby Canyon Overlook.
I've decided the hike is so nice. I kept going past Crosby Canyon Overlook. I'm going to look at the Rocky Point Overlook. I'll work my way on back to camp. Here I am at the rock outcrop. Time to pack up and head west.
Say goodbye to Datil Well Campground. What a nice campground. Super quiet last night. Super quiet this morning. I have 2.5 hours to get to Petrified Forest National Park. And then once I visit that, with the help of my spouse, I was able to identify a place in a nearby town that has a auto parts store where I hope to buy some motorcycle oil, change my oil, and then find a camp for the night. So that's the plan for the day. I'm in the Cibola National Forest. I just passed a sign for elk crossing, and last night I heard 2 different animal sounds. One sounded like coyotes, and there were at least 2 or 3 of them. They sound like they're coming from slightly different directions right around the same time. And the second, I don't know whether an elk makes a moan or a howl. I'll have to look it up. But that's all I could think of when I heard this wail in the distance. It was like a plaintive yell, almost sad in the way that it sounded. In any event, that was what crossed my mind. Was I wonder if that's an elk howling in the woods. So when I get better internet service, I'm going to have to see whether they make a sound, and if they do, whether it sounded like that or not. But it was very ghostly. And that sign just reminded me of that noise that I heard last night. To my amazement, I just broke 8,000 feet above sea level. And I'm still climbing, although I'm almost at the peak. This is probably the peak right here. 8,000 feet. It's just like, that's huge. I don't know how high Mount Washington is, but I don't think it's anywhere near 8,000 feet. I think it's 6,000 something. Way above that. Yeah, 8,117 feet above sea level. You look at it, you'd never guess you're that high altitude. Day 13, I just crossed the Continental Divide. 13 days of riding to get out here. It's time to say goodbye to New Mexico. What a wonderful land and people. Everybody's very friendly, but it's time to enter the great state of Arizona. Welcome to Arizona, the Grand Canyon State. I think I just gained an hour. I think I moved from mountain time to Pacific time. My GPS is now showing it as 8:51, and my time on the East Coast is 11:55, almost noon. So I think I just gained another hour. Wasn't expecting that until later on, in the next couple days. Springerville, founded in 1870. Can you imagine? It feels remote today. Can you imagine how remote it would have been in 1870? So I changed my oil, cleaned my chain, lubed it, ran out of cleaner, chain cleaner, so I was looking for that, but nobody's had it in stock here in this small town. So I'm just going to go to the national park now and then look for a camp sometime this afternoon. Wind's doing its thing again. Just brutal. Petrified Forest National Park entrance, half mile. Pull over and get myself a picture. Nice. So motorcycles $20, private vehicles $25 to get in. Spend $80 on a lifetime pass. It's paid for itself so many times. Park ranger said that it's windy here about 50% of the time. Painted desert to the right, visitor center to the left. The wind is blowing something fierce. I'm blocked here by this stone to my right, behind me. This is looking out over one of the fields with petrified wood. There's a ride that goes 10 or 15 miles, which I'm going to take. There's some scenic things to see. So the Triassic period is 225 million years ago. And this used to be all woodlands. And dinosaurs roamed and all kinds of animals, which they found tons of fossils. And a lot of the plant life that fell got buried deep under the ground, and silica replaced some of the organic material in the plants that caused them to turn into quote-unquote stone. The material I was reading said that water was abundant in this area back in the Triassic period. Basically it looked nothing like it does today. The crystal forest. Because of continental drift 225 million years ago, the Triassic period, this area was actually at 10 degrees north latitude. It's 35 degrees north latitude now. So what used to be down near the equatorial region is up here as well. The landmass moved up by a mile, which is why it's so dry and arid here. That tree fell 217 million years ago. They put the concrete support under it in 1917 to try to prevent it from collapsing. Blue Mesa Road. Called the Teepees. Newspaper Rock. Route 66, of course, is a famous highway in the United States. And this commemorates it. Lacey Point. Pretty. Whipple Point. Just a little different view from Lacey Point. Tentado Point. Pretty. The big picture. Pilot Rock, right there. 6,234 feet, 6.6 miles. And this is the northern terminus of the road that runs through the park. It's going to wind me back down to an interstate, and I'm going to get on for a couple minutes. I'm going to stop here. There we go. Homolovi. Looked at a few different campsites. One of them, and I think this was the one, so that they don't have any potable water. They have water in the bathrooms, but apparently must have a contamination problem. Homolovi State Park, Hopi Tribe. Well, that worked out all right. Didn't have any way for me to contact the office to get in. And who shows up? At a ranger. Drives on by. Put me in 7 up here, and should do fine. Non-electric. Number 7. So what time is it? 5:13.